Good morning. I don't read it. Oh, yay. That's excellent. I want to multitask. Okay. All right. For those who are regulars, I'm not Christina. For those who are new, my name is Zephorah. Christina is away due to a family funeral, so I will be one of the worship associates today along with Elaine Faithful. We welcome you here to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Clemson. And today we have Corey Dodgens as our pianist. And we have Karen Heibel, who will be our storyteller. And we have Joseph on technology, all we are grateful for. It is a special pleasure for us to welcome visitors, those who are present here in the sanctuary and those who are online. We invite all to go online, if you haven't done so already, to sign up for the newsletter. There is great information there about happenings around the church. And if you're not familiar, the website is UUFC.org. For announcements this morning, a reminder for those who are supposed to be at the board meeting, it is today at noon. Prepare accordingly. And let's see, I think that's my only announcement for this morning. Otherwise, take a look at the back of the bulletin. There's a wealth of information there. It is also online, so please track that for things that are going on. For this morning, let's take a minute to say good morning to each other. Maybe meet somebody new next to you and say welcome. We can make our way back to our seats. I know we're having a really good time, but we can slowly start to make our way back to our seats because we'll have more time for fellowship afterwards. There we go. All right. As we return back to our seats, if you would turn in your hymnals to page 203 for our opening song, which is All Creatures of Earth and Sky. opening words this morning are coming from Lois Van Leer, and she writes, "Let go. Let go of all that binds you, of all that burdens you, of what you carry, of all that shames you, of fear, of trespasses and transgressions, of woundedness. Let go of guilt. Let go of anger. Let go of small-mindedness and pettiness, of ways of being that no longer work for you, of compulsions that consume your living. Let go of what you cannot change. Let go of what you regret, of what haunts you. Let go of pain. Let go of ways in which you miss the mark. Let go. Let it all go." I want to invite JP. JB, I'm so sorry. Coming to light the chalice for us this morning.
How do you use this? I rarely use these guys.
Yeah, here you go. Press it. There you go. Well,
You gotta go gentle on these.
perfect.
Thank you. You're welcome.
You'll join with me now in reading our, I've got it. Our affirmation. We gather together in the spirit of love, with justice as our guide. This is our chosen covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth with freedom, and to care for one another.
Good morning. Good morning. Given that it's such a lovely day outside, I'm going to invite you all to just stay in your seats this morning for this story. It's kind of one of those days where you just want to crawl back into bed and pull the covers up. But here we are. Our story this morning is Perfectly Norman by Tom Percival. Norman had always been normal, perfectly normal, until one day he grew a pair of wings. Norman had imagined growing taller or growing a beard like his dad, but he had never imagined growing a pair of wings. Still, they were here now, so he decided to test them out right away. Soon, Norman was swooping around and generally having the most fun ever. But then, he had to go in for dinner. You see, Norman had always been so normal, he didn't know how his parents would feel about his extraordinary wings. As he went in, Norman covered himself up in a great big coat. His parents didn't notice the wings, but they did think it was odd to be wearing a coat indoors. Bath time was problematic. So was bedtime. The coat was hot and uncomfortable, but Norman had decided that no one should see his wings, ever. The next day, Norman went to the park, but he was far too hot to play any of his favorite games. And so it went on. Long car journeys were unbearable. The swimming pool was dreadful. And that was nothing compared to his friend's birthday party. The only time that Norman could feel normal now was when it rained. One day, a boy tried to pull his coat off, and Norman had to run away, hot-faced, angry, and sad. He wished he'd never grown those stupid wings. Then he saw some birds high up in the sky and remembered the joy of his first flight. It occurred to Norman that it was the coat that was making him miserable, not the wings. "Why don't you take that tatty old thing off?" suggested his mom and dad. Norman looked at them hesitantly. His parents smiled and nodded. Norman smiled back. Then he threw off his coat and let his wonderful wings fan out. Norman leapt into the air. Finally, he was free of that coat. He noticed a few other children wearing thick, heavy coats of their own. They looked up at Norman and round at each other nervously. There was a moment's pause, and then, whoosh! The sky was filled with flying people. Norman had never felt so happy. He realized that there was no such thing as perfectly normal. But he was perfectly Norman, which was just as it should be.
This is a time we set aside for the offertory in order to give toward the financial vitality of this community. Also, 25% of the weekly collection each week goes to an organization in the local community that we partner with. This month we're partnering with Clemson Child Development Center. For those of you at home, you can go to the UUFC website and use the donate button. There you'll also see options for paying your pledge and donating towards the organizations we partner with. We thank everyone for their generosity.
You'll come from this side? Yeah. Karen Hebel has a joy this morning. Emily made it safely to Stockholm, where she's going to enjoy a semester abroad this year. Yeah. By the way, I'm not Bill Bruehl, for those of you who don't know me. Bill is feeling a little under the weather and invited me to speak for him this morning, so I'll be doing that. Let's do a stone for Bill. Okay. I'd like to do a special stone for Cecil for returning to us today. Welcome, and we're glad to see you in good health. Bing! Oh. That's why you were looking at me so strangely. Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right, and this comes from Cindy Lee. Is to celebrate Jackie Renzi's gift of organizing circle dinners for UUFC. Kathy Crane and hosted a wonderful group last night. And I hope you all had a wonderful time together. Kathy Crane has a joy. It was great to enjoy movie night with a message together with friends last Friday night. Your thoughts for future third Friday monthly movies are welcomed with thanks. Did I say that correctly? Yes. And Carl Dieter has a joy. Happy New Year to everyone. Chinese New Year, yes. I would also like to, excuse me one second, like to add a stone. This week is the 50th anniversary of the Roe decision in the U.S. Supreme Court. May all of us have the strength and will to fight for bodily sovereignty for all. One last stone will be placed for all of those who are holding joys or concerns a little closer to their hearts, or those who are at home and not able to be here. We put this stone for you. Now we'll sing the children to their classes. This prayer and meditation as we stop for a moment of quiet. I bless the night that nourished my heart to set the ghosts of longing free into the flow and figure of dream that went to harvest from dark bread for the hunger no one else sees. All that is eternal in me welcome the wonder of this day, the field of brightness it creates, offering time for each thing to arise and illuminate. I place on the altar of dawn the quiet loyalty of breath, the tent of thought where I shelter, wave of desire I am sure to, and all beauty drawn to the eye. May my mind come alive today to the invisible geography that invites me to new frontiers, to break the dead shell of yesterdays, and to risk being disturbed and changed. May I have courage for today. If you'll join me now in a few moments of quiet. Amen. We now have a special offering of a video. We Are by Yesse Barnwell and the UUA Choir. I'm sorry I messed up her name.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth, keepers of faith, makers of peace, and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We sons of great visions, we're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are one.
I need volunteers. Any bold persons this morning that'd be willing to come up front? Come on. Come on. Thank you. Yeah, just hang tight. 2. Any other brave souls? Yeah. All right. Yay! Excellent. Okay. Yay! We have one more. Excellent. Here's what I'd like for y'all to do. Because I didn't do a speech, I'm doing an activity. And what I want you to do is over on this side, there are different things in the bowls. Thank you. So each bowl represents a different element, which would be earth. We have fire to our right. You to just put your hands there, paper towels, so you can clean your hands. Perhaps I was going to see you back with dirty fingers, but just kind of put your hands in each bowl, play with the fan, just kind of experience what's right there for just a minute, and then I'll ask you a question.
I think that's the flute. Zephorah, what was in this?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's sand, but it's still earth, it counts.
Earthy.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Now again, you are very brave to come up. But I have a couple of questions for you. As you touched each one, what was your experience of the different things? What did you feel? What did you sense as you were touching them?
Well, the water was cold, so I wouldn't say it woke me up, but it was certainly had a reaction of, oh, okay, that's cold. I can feel that. I can feel that pretty well. The sand is grainy, but not too grainy. I really hate walking on sand normally, so anything scratchy I don't like. The earth was softer than I thought. And sorry, I did 30-odd years of theater, so I was playing with the fan the wrong way.
None of it surprised me, I guess. So it was things we can experience in an ordinary way all the time. The air was, I'm glad you brought the fan, because otherwise the air is just around here. This empty bowl is the one that has the air in it, but here's actually everywhere. And it was nice to have a plant to touch.
I guess I'd have to ditto what you said. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary, but the sand did feel really nice, I thought. And I wanted to put water on that plant because it looks a little dry.
I guess I just like the connection to nature and all the elements of nature that are always around us.
Thank you. Thank all of you. I promise it'll get water when it goes home.
Okay.
But no, you guys can take your seats. I appreciate it. And you spoke to what I wanted to bring in to our service today, which is our connection. Step to my right, which is our connection to the elements and how the elements help us remember. And when I say remember, think hyphenated, remember, put back together who we are. Because what is before us represents a part of who and what we are. We are water. We come from dirt. Air helps us to breathe. Without it, we'd be in trouble. Fire keeps us warm. All that comes together to be a part of who we are. So I brought that in this morning as a remembrance to all of us. The things that we kind of take for granted sometimes we see every day, we pass it over. Sometimes don't like to get dirty or wet, if you're like me on a rainy day. But all of it is a part of who we are, as the song said. All that fits together. So thank you for everybody who came.
The talk I'm going to offer you this morning is actually one written by Bill Bruehl. So if you can kind of imagine, I've got a white silver beard, and I hope I can project the way Bill normally projects. He has such wonderful theater presence about him. But welcome, Bill. I hope I do you justice. I want to explore the meanings of awakening and of transcending. As some of you may recall, I've talked about this before. Why do I do it again? Because the moment I woke up to what I am was the most important experience in my life. And it can happen to anyone at any time. I must begin with the Buddha. He was Siddhartha Gautama, I hope I said that right, a young prince who lived about 500 years prior to Jesus. He must have been miserable living as a prince because he abandoned the palace and became a penniless seeker of inner peace. He searched for years with every practice he could find. He put his body through the most extreme discipline, including not eating. Until almost starving, he sat exhausted under a tree that has become the famous as the Bodhi tree, the tree of knowing or of awakening. He experienced a moment that changed his life, and people wanted to know, how did that happen? He told them it is very simple. He woke up. So they called him the man who woke up. That's the English translation of the word Buddha. His friends wanted to wake up with him, but it's hard to get that experience. I see Siddhartha as a kind of psychologist who tries to show other people how to wake up to the cause of their misery and transcend those miseries for life. He taught meditation as the way, but it did not always help. When I was 18 years old, Bill, I was miserable too, but I was no prince. I didn't know who I was. I cared for nothing, was attached to nothing except my mom. I was a roamer and I was dejected. For me, it was the dark night of my soul. I remember walking past store windows and seeing my reflection. I'd stop and stare and think, who am I? Where did I come from? Why am I here? The universal questions that we all ask ourselves. He didn't know the answer. He felt lost with nowhere to go. For 12 years, priests and nuns tried to make him an obedient Catholic. They failed. Their teaching, which, going back to I took to be a constant demand to obey, evaporated. My mother wanted me to be a priest or a judge. Her wishes made no sense to me. I couldn't imagine going to college, and even though I had 2 full scholarships for Catholic colleges. I never thanked them. I got a job as a stock boy in the Woolworth 5 and Dime, which is kind of like our Dollar Generals. They offered me a place in their management training program. One day, months later, I disappeared without a word. The boy was lost at sea. When we were retreating in Korea, I joined the army. No warrior. I just had to do something else. The army was tough and demanding and hard on fools. I didn't like it anyway, but I pretended to be a good soldier. I acted, and they liked the way I played my role. I never got in trouble. I was in a tank division in Germany, and I thought people who liked to drive tanks were nuts. So I wrangled a job in personnel. Then I got attached to a special services and acted in place for soldiers. I started a black market business selling coffee, nylons, and cigarettes. I never got caught. My folly was so extreme it defined mental illness. I committed those crimes because I didn't feel obliged to anyone. Being Bruehl meant nothing. After 3 years, the Army, well duped, gave me an honorable discharge. But I couldn't answer the questions I'd been asking myself in that store window. Who am I? Where did I come from? Why am I here? But I was continuing to be driven to find out the answers, and that search dominated my life. I earned university degrees, married, had children, taught, and spent years engaged with the art of theater. Still unable to define myself. Was I an American? A patriot? A professor? Yeah, sure, whatever. Only a love of wife and family kept me together, mostly. But I needed to know. I read every Hindu and Buddhist book and story, especially the Zen stories, reading about other searchers. I even spent a little time in a Zen monastery. I tried LSD, lots of marijuana. I didn't care if they were illegal. I had read that they enabled the mystic experience. But what was that? I didn't know, and nothing gave me a clear answer. It could be anything from a simple high to experiencing God himself. Always him. But I had no interest in him. I was disconnected from him and a reflection in a store window. I read a lot of science. I was a fan. Science encouraged questions and found answers like nothing ever before. But you didn't have to be right, and I liked that. When our girls were about 5 and 7, we confronted a social necessity. We had to teach them about God, and we didn't want to. One day, sitting at my desk reading cosmology, I learned stars were made of atoms. That is what stars do. They make the tiny bits of all that we call matter. The matter is us. The idea pierced my soul. I remember jumping off of my chair, possessed with the realization I come from the belly of a star. So does everyone, every germ, every elephant, every rosebush. So did the earth itself. That is what I am, star stuff. It is an experience as palpable as frostbite, as a mosquito bite. It had nothing to do with belief. I experienced and have no words to describe how that moment overcame me with that flavor, that knowing. It transformed me And the next moments, I began to behave differently. Suddenly, in a microsecond, I had an identity. I could feel it. We are all special as children of the earth and the universe. Everything I experienced changed. If I'm a child of the universe, then every other living thing, from bugs to elephants, from roses to lettuce, plus all the rocks and all the water and all the bits that make up air, are my cousins. It is all my family, every bit of it. So I have responsibility to all of it. That's why I'm here. Suddenly, all the questions were answered. I know what I am. I know where I come from. I can see the path that lies before me. I can emphasize others as never before. With the young deer wounded by a passing car, with the misery I see in other people's faces, I realized I can pass the compassionate test, which means even the worst criminals, people who are destroying the lives of others, deserve compassion because they have destroyed the greatest gift ever given to them, the gift of being human. One thing after another began to fall into place. A child of the earth doesn't have to defend her faults or mistakes. Come, let go of defensiveness. Totally. Wow. That is freedom, and it conveys a strength I never knew I had. I could accept my stupidity and my mistakes. I had changed. People saw it in me and told me. I also understood that the identities that I had played in my life were roles. A white man, an American, a father, a teacher, an artist, whatever. They're only parts that I play, and roles are okay. Society needs us to learn roles that bind us together, that bonding creates society. Siddhartha woke up, learned something else too, which may be his most important teaching. If we believe we need, must have, and protect that social identity of mother, father, patriot, Unitarian, whatever, if we get stuck on it, we cannot be open-minded about it. It is then that we begin to make trouble and misery for ourselves and others. That is the sad reality that happens to almost every human by the time they come into their mid-20s. We come to believe that the roles we play absolutely define us, but they don't. And no part of our society teaches us that if we come to grimly hold on to, limit ourselves to our little social identities, we will make ourselves, our families, our associates miserable. And sadly, there is nothing in society to equip us, to teach us otherwise. People stuck in their limiting social roles can create miseries, troubles, even madness. Think Putin. Think Trump. Our society wants us to form our roles every day and never teaches us we can let go of them and still play with them, knowing they are only guides to our behavior. After I learned what I am, an earth man, I realized I could play the role, but I don't forget what I really am, a molecule as well as a giant who has come to realize that the universe is aware of itself in me. We are water. We are wind. We are sand. We are the trees that are around us. We are kittens and cattle, rocks, the moon, and the earth. And it is from all that that my spirituality emerges. My spiritual essence is in the soil and a passing bluebird. Spirituality for me lives in the evolving consciousness that we are all gifted with, a cosmic consciousness humanity has always called divine. And some, transcending for me meant experiencing myself as a child of the earth, a guy, a human, and that's all, folks. Amen. Would you stand with me now and join in singing hymn number 298, Wake Now My Senses. We extinguish this flame, but not the light. May the path on which you travel and the body that carries you upon it be blessed. May your heart that has heard the call and your mind that discerns the way be blessed. Blessed is the gift that you will receive by going, and truly blessed is the gift that you will become on the journey. Go forth now in peace until we meet again. Amen.